It's been 3 years since we all got hooked on a feeling of love for James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy. With the sequel, he's promised to go all the way, and for audiences, clearly, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ooh, child, from these soundtrack jokes, there's no escape. Okay, enough of the songs. On with a review of a movie that can hopefully raise your spirit. In the Sky. The original was an unexpected success, a potentially risky venture into Marvel's cosmic universe that paid off in spades. And by spades, I mean cold, hard cash. Initial trailers and the abundance of TV spots that followed suggested Guardians of the Galaxy 2 would offer more of the same, a fun, action, sci-fi adventure. But this time around, Gunn says he had total creative control, so free from the shackles of the Marvel execs, who it has been claimed interfere a little too much for some directors, did Gunn recapture the magic of the original? Or even top it? To be totally honest, I wasn't that sold on the original. I liked it enough, but perhaps not as much as everyone else. Sure, it made me laugh and the action was satisfying, but a few things stood out which put a dampener on the whole experience. Top of the list was the rather contrived manner in which the team came together.
Give me the fucking keys, you fucking cocksucker motherfucker!
And the sudden bond between this new family. It felt unearned, so when the gang were in peril, I asked myself why I should really care. I appreciate I'm in the minority here. I saw the movie with my brother, who's a grown-ass man, and he was almost crying his eyes out when Groot got smashed to kindling. So it must have worked for some. Maybe I'm just a cold-hearted bastard. The sequel picks up a couple of months after the original, and the camaraderie between this bunch of a-holes has definitely strengthened. But did the new movie win this cynic over? It was very good, actually. Okay, it was freaking awesome. One of the best elements of the original was the cast. Thankfully, there weren't any contract disputes, or people acting like douchebags, and they all return. There's Han, Space She-Hulk, Garbage Panda, possibly autistic bloke, Funko Pop, and of course, guy wearing green leotard, which surprisingly isn't Andy Serkis. New additions include Snake Plissken as Star-Lord's dad, aka Ego the Living Planet, or at least its avatar, and mercifully he's reined in the facial hair this time. I love Kurt Russell, and it's great to see him back on our cinema screens. I would definitely choose him as my avatar. Here, he delivers a solid performance. There's no real flair to it, but Russell brings much-needed gravitas to the role, and that's very important in a movie that could have lost its way in all the silliness. He roots the film, and in many ways, is the linchpin to the whole thing. He even gets the CG facelift treatment, which has thankfully come a long way since X-Men 3. Alongside Cash, Tango also makes an appearance, but sadly not as Groot's dad as I was so desperately hoping. It's nice to see Stallone again, but in truth, he only appears for a few short scenes, so there's not too much to say. Other than it's Stallone. In a Marvel movie. Of the core cast, it's a case of pick your favourite. Each actor has really got to grips with their characters now, and all get a chance to shine. I particularly enjoyed Groot and Drax the first time round. In the sequel, Groot is essentially a baby again, so whilst he's not totally useless in the film, he's not as good as in the first. Dave Bautista, however, nails it as Drax. It feels odd to be praising him for his acting, and he's helped out a lot by the script. But he's close to stealing the whole show. A mention has to go to Karen Gillan and Michael Rooker as Nebula and Yondu. In the original, neither were given too much time to develop, and understandably so. The great thing about sequels, though, is you can do more exploring with your characters, and boy do they. You get an insight into both characters' histories and motivations, which not only rounds them out, but also serves as the main emotional draw of the film. Rooker in particular is wonderful. And hey, it's another Stallone reunion. Whilst we're still on the cast, a shout out simply must go to the greatest Stan Lee cameo there ever will be. And there's a lot of competition. Suffice to say, you guys are gonna love it. So what happens? Well, I don't want to spoil anything for you guys who are yet to see it, but there's this galaxy, right? And these bunch of people have to guard it. It's a bit like a group of beefeaters watching over the Tower of London, except the beefeaters are aliens, and the tower is the cosmos. And instead of the crown jewels, it's infinity gems. The movie's main thrust is unraveling the mystery of Star-Lord's parentage, not unlike another child lost in space. Okay, we know his mother is dead and his dad's a planet, but what does it all mean? The search for answers, to find one's purpose, the things that make us go on living is a central theme. And whilst many answers to the mystery are given up front, the thing you're looking for may just have been right in front of you all along. Like many Marvel movies, the original lacked a decent villain. In the sequel, this is not a problem. There is no dance-off, bro. Although there is dancing. Marvel villains are often criticised for lacking clear motivations and, well, being somewhat two-dimensional. But here they seem to have turned a corner. We get a very detailed explanation of goals and reasoning, and beyond that, I can't say more without spoiling. Okay, I've been heaping praise on this movie. Another Marvel shill, right? But there are a couple of shortcomings I found. Firstly, at 2 hours and 18 minutes, the movie's a little bloated. Some scenes definitely could have been whittled down, and perhaps some discarded altogether. But then, we wouldn't get some of the character development, which is so important and well done. Even so, the middle is a little too drawn out, and you might find your attention waning at times. But on the bright side, it provides a good opportunity to take a piss. The biggest problem is actually the story. It's very straightforward. And with a movie that invests time in its characters, you may not want too complex a story, but if you've ever seen an episode of Star Trek or any other long-running adventure-type show, you will recognise the trope used immediately. It's not an enormous problem, but it does make things rather predictable. And with a long-ass running time, you might want them to just get to the point. Again though, the fun is not in the intricacies of the plot, but the interaction between characters. So, in conclusion, and if it wasn't obvious already, I really enjoyed this movie and think most of you will too. For all the emotional beats that didn't hit me in the first film, the sequel totally delivers. Family is at the very heart of this movie, and while the action, effects and humour make for an enjoyable ride, it's the emotional draw that I think is the movie's strongest element, and that's brought about by its cast. Ultimately, they are the chain that holds everything together. Ha! You thought the song references were over? Well, I lied. Thanks for watching, folks. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this review, and if you'd like to check out more of our videos, including this one about diversity and how fucking stupid the issue has become, subscribe already!